types of sports with Schoode and Tor. Football discussion on the internet.
Welcome. It is Both Types of Sports for today, Monday, April 21st, as the crow flies. I'm your host of the most, the Shootster, broadcasting live from Oakton Falls. We are scant hours away from the NFL draft, and it probably will come up tonight, I'm guessing, at some point. But yes, matters of business out of the way. If you're listening on podcasts, please go over and subscribe to youtube.com/Chad Duke Show. It is free. Watch show live. And then if you're listening or watching live on YouTube, get the podcast. It's available wherever Spotify and iTunes are available. And I assume that's in your neck of the woods. Shaving it closer and closer each and every week is radio's Gigantor, all the way from the Garden State. Greetings, Tor. Are you excited for the big signing your Atlanta Falcons had today?
Couldn't be happier. I actually was so excited. I hurriedly rushed home and ate 3 microwave chicken patties just before getting on this show from 7:53 to 7:59. Tor was shoving microwave chicken down his gullet. Apologies for cutting it so close yet again.
All right. I've definitely eaten that many. I was hanging out with my brother-in-law this weekend, and he told me that in between 4 p.m. and 11 p.m., without even thinking about it, he ate 7 kielbasa's. He said he just had a skillet going with beer in it, and he just kept cooking them. And then, he would just come back as soon as he was done, and he would just start another one, and he ended up eating 7 of them with Martin's potato rolls, and I believe he said some brown mustard.
That's impressive. Maybe one of the most memorable yellings at that I've received from a coach. 11 or 12 years old at the time, basketball tournament, just ready to go. And I had hot dog before the game. That hot dog was real good. I mean, it was like a ethereal hot dog. So I got another hot dog, and I ended up eating 5 hot dogs before the game. And shockingly, my coach was very displeased with my, speed on the court.
I don't think there's even an age I could have accomplished that, even at that youthful time. Of course, Big Dane Amen has got the best story where he had the locker room Big Mac and they lost in football, and he pretended like he was eating the Big Mac in protest, but he just wanted to eat the Big Mac, and his coach threw him out of the locker room. One of my favorite stories of all time. But for those of you, look, we talk about, I think this is the latest, I hope I phrased this right, Tor, but this is the latest that every team in the draft has had their original draft pick in the history of the NFL draft, which is wild. But we've just been waiting for that one deal to kick it all off, man, like that spark when it comes to what takes place in the events that transpire in Gangs of New York. That one little match that lights the fire, and perhaps that happened at Flowery Branch today as the Atlanta Falcons signed Easton Stick, who, of course, was backing up the Los Angeles Chargers. You may think I'm bullshitting, but do you sign a veteran backup like this, Tor? This isn't a developmental quarterback. We know who the starter is. Mm-hmm. If it isn't in the back of your mind that maybe they ultimately do plan on releasing Kirk Cousins, and if that's the case, does that change how the Steelers are going to draft? Does that change how the Titans are going to draft? I can think of a couple of teams that would make sense where he ends up there. The Cleveland Browns maybe come to mind. This could mean more than we actually think that it does.
This is a very interesting domino that I'm having my friend Schoode actually point out to me. I didn't connect these dots earlier. So Mr. Put You On is definitely putting me on right now. This is going to be this could be a big domino because Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, like the latest coming out of there is that Atlanta's looking for a trade suitor to take on at least $20 million of the $45 million owed to Kirk Cousins throughout the rest of the contract. So that's going to be a big stop. And then having Easton Stick, that kind of fills in the backup role and crushes my dreams of having Kirk Cousins hold that clipboard all year. So it looks like he could definitely be on the move out, because why else would you bring him? Why Easton Stick has not made an ounce of an impression in the NFL. The last time I think a lot of people saw him was at the 63-7 drubbing that the Las Vegas Raiders handed to the Chargers during Antonio Pierce's first couple games there.
It would seem to me that this move doesn't happen unless the Falcons are operating under the assumption that they're going to be without Kirk Cousins and they need to sign a veteran. If I were them, I would want to bring in a Case Keenum type that kind of has that coach mentality already. I don't know a lot about Easton Stick. Maybe he does. He certainly wasn't going to play in San Diego or Los Angeles now. I suppose it's been a couple of years. So I don't know about that part of the personnel, but this goes deeper toward, forgive me. All I do is sit around all day on my brains thinking about what this could possibly mean for the Titans. And here's how Easton Stick connects to the Titans. I know this is silly. Do you listen to the What's More Likely podcast that Rich Eisen does?
Yeah, I've tapped into that previously. Okay. Yeah.
So they do like a little 30-minute podcast, and they also do a segment on their show, but the 30-minute podcast goes a little deeper. And one of the topics, I forget the bald guy that buttons his fucking shirt all the way up to the top. I don't know when that phase started, but I thought we as men like to be comfortable. And the guys that are buttoning their shirts up to their fucking, what is this thing? Adam's apple without I mean, I understand if you're wearing a tie, but what is that? Don't we all like to be loose and free-forming and comfortable? How does that a way to go through life?
It has to be something that he's just done forever and doesn't know that there's an alternative to it because it's a bad look.
Yeah.
And it's constraining.
It's a bad look and it's constraining, but I thought the take was interested. And, I don't know if you're not familiar with that segment, there's some kind of trollish stuff that happens there, over the top stuff, because you're trying to bait the host into saying something inflammatory. But if Travis Hunter is the best player in this draft, and he seems to be the best player in this draft by far, on top of that, Tor, the most marketable player in this draft, I think I feel comfortable saying that. The player that's going to have the most value because he can play both ways, and immediately impact the offense and the defense. Why are we just dismissing the notion that the Titans should be selecting that guy at 1 overall? And then if Kirk Cousins is available, then you have Kirk Cousins throwing to Calvin Ridley and to Travis Hunter, which sounds like a much better situation than Will Levis throwing to, Westbrook, Akine, Ridley, and a group of Jags last year. Like that sounds like you got something working. Now, granted, I would have rather they addressed the quarterback position in a different way earlier in the offseason if they were going to go the veteran route.
Yeah.
But I thought that Easton Stick getting fucking signed some way led for another possibility in the draft for 1 overall to go a different way than, I guess, whatever the consensus is everyone just thinks now.
Now, I believe, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, you said that Easton Stick, you not much of a reason to root for him. We are both connected to Easton Stick in a very proud way. He was the last quarterback for Brandon Staley as a head coach. He was the quarterback during that game that got Brandon Staley and his dork ass fired out of that position. Yeah. So I'm eternally grateful to him because that was just a savaging of a promising football team by a doofus. The Titans, everyone has relented themselves to it being Cam Ward. I always get wary when everybody thinks that they know the pick, because maybe now, if there aren't a bunch of trades flying around and there's not a bunch of buzz and it's a weaker quarterback draft, it could be more solidified. But I like fading the public. I like fading the quote-unquote big brains that think they have it all locked up. The Titans' actions have spoke for them. The Titans' coaches have had glowing reviews about Cam Ward in the future and his potential as a quarterback. But I am not closing that door entirely just yet. Similarly to a lot of the buzz that we're seeing with the Jaguars at 5 with Mason Graham, everyone's calling chalk on that. It's a wide open draft until once that official clock starts going, everything that you thought you was going to happen, completely scrapped. Anything can happen in that moment. I hope we do see some fireworks. I hope Tennessee does find a quarterback that can come in and bridge the gap if Cam Ward does need some time. And if it's Kirk Cousins, best of luck, Schoode. Yeah, it'll be a little reunion.
I want to make it very clear. I'm not predicting this in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is there's another way to go here where you could do something that makes sense in a quarterback capacity, at least on paper, and draft a guy that's going to sell 1 million jerseys for you, sell 1 million tickets for you. They got a new stadium that's going to open up, and they're the worst team in the fucking league. I just, if we acknowledge that this is a poor quarterback class, and it is, nothing to take away from Cam Ward or Dart or Sanders, whoever you think is going to go on and be a starter in this league. But if we acknowledge that, I'm a little confused why we're so readily to dismiss. You have the chance to take the one player that, because no offense to Abdul Carter, but I believe he's still dealing with some injury stuff. Like you got the one lock. This guy is a lock to be a superstar for 10 fucking years. Like the biggest problem you have if you draft him is, oh shit, are we going to have to pay him like a corner? Or are we going to have to pay him like a fucking wide receiver?
Yeah.
And I think that's why you see the stuff leaking out about Cleveland already, where it's like, hey, he's going to major in offense and minor in defense. I think that was the quote. And then McShay is on record saying, yeah, they're going to take Cam, but also Travis Hunter is by far the best player in this draft. And it's just odd to me that like you can say both of those things, and there should be some more discussion about it, I think, with Titans brass is what I'm saying.
I'd like to I'm going to try to speculate, I guess, off the top here, if Travis Hunter would work personality-wise in Tennessee. He said he's not a big party guy. Nashville, pretty big party scene, but he's a very avid fisherman. Tennessee, plenty of rivers and lakes. You can go get down there. He's not a I need to seek out the media type of player like you would maybe be looking for in New York, who's well-versed in the limelight and likes soaking it in and likes the big media market. He seems to be a dude from Florida that is insanely good at football. And he's just one of these guys that's playing the exact right sport for himself. The stamina, the energy, all of it. It lends himself to being a legend at a team that has not been legendary as of late. And it's a team that needs an absolute boost turbo pack attached to them, and Tennessee fits that mold. Cleveland fits that mold. The Patriots, he could fit that mold there. They've been slipping a good amount of time. So I think him going to a smaller market definitely helps him. It tremendously helps him, because also he doesn't have a bunch of this New York media up his ass about all the girlfriend drama and and her being in a nightmare and making every tabloid and going on podcasts. You're not going to get that in Tennessee. You're just not. You're not going to get that in New England or Cleveland. He's just going to be a football player doing the best that he can.
By the way, if you're listening to this, we're putting up the cover of SI. This is one of the craziest covers I've ever seen of a Sports Illustrated. And of course, it's Travis Hunter holding up two giant fish. He's got the glasses on. He's got the big giant grin. But look, man, girlfriend stuff aside, we played some of those videos. She seems like a nightmare, but maybe it's a nightmare he can handle. Maybe everybody's attracted to something.
Everyone thinks they can.
Yeah, I mean, she's not. The nightmare that Pat Mahomes has to deal with is way worse. Like, she's not actively dipping her toe into the social media I want to be a star pool, as far as I know. She just has some questionable tattoos and cucked him at an event that I saw. But this is fantastic. And God, how much would you kill, Tor, to have your superstar player not be into going to the club or being a musician or whatever the fuck it is, to be into fishing out on a lake by yourself?
I texted Pat Forty about that and told him how jealous I was of that assignment that he got to go on. That is a definitely big braggart move there. But I was so steamed up to see that he was out there fishing with Travis Hunter. Oh my God, that's the dream. He's a real deal fisherman, and he is just a real authentic dude. And he does the live streaming bit, which is a bit irritating, but I think it's like video games. Like he's playing GTA or he's playing like stupid teenager video games. That bothers me so much less than having a player go on a podcast and ask, generic questions and give a bunch of input after the game. And it's not being vetted through your media team. I think just like the NBA players that stream Call of Duty or 2K, no problem with it. Once you start getting a podcast and start mixing it up and giving your thoughts and doing all, there's something that rubs me the wrong way.
The part about the video games, though, is the same thing about the fishing. Nothing good happens at the club at 3 a.m. I remember when Brandon Banks got stabbed for the Redskins, saying that 1,000 times on the show. Anything that interest that keeps you away from that world is a good one. Nathan Farley, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. We do accept super chats. By the way, the show is going to be YouTube exclusive for streaming. Now we said goodbye to Facebook for both types of sports. So if you would like to watch the show live, please again check out the YouTube channel. That is where we will be streaming. Sherlock Schoode on the case. Yeah, you didn't think I'd open up the show with East and Stick means that the fucking Titans shouldn't draft Cam Ward, which I'm not. I'm not even saying. You got Brian Callahan. I mean, Brian Callahan tore. I don't know why we're starting with this fucking team. He's been around Stafford. He's been around Burrow. I mean, he's been around some fucking dudes. So I'd like for him to get some clay that isn't Spurky Will Levis and be able a chance to mold that.
I miss Will. I'm far enough removed for the season where I miss him. I want to give him another shot. I think he could do it. I think he could do it this year.
I think Eisenwatch's a different guy. He's constantly bringing up, well, maybe you just go with Will Levis again. I'm like, no, you cannot.
Oh my God, you cannot
go with Will Levis.
No. You might as well fire everyone in the front office now and start over again if you're going with Will Levis again.
All right. Speaking of the draft, I want to ask you, Tor, it's a new segment. Is this a bitch take? Okay?
Okay.
And don't judge the person that's giving the take because you've shared some strong opinions about him on the show before. But he's not the only one that I've heard this from. And well, let me just play it, and then we'll both here decide if this is a bitch take regarding a draft, a guy that's going to be drafted in the NFL draft, and whether or not he should be avoiding.
George Sanders, I wouldn't want to go 3. I would want to fall.
So this is Dan Orlovsky on Get Up, which is, of course, the Mike Greenberg show, which just is all kinds of annoying. But the take is what I'm most concerned with.
If I were Shedeur Sanders, I wouldn't want to go 3. I would want to fall to at least 9. If I'm Shedeur Sanders and I look at the New York Giants, who have given up the most pressure in the last 2 years to their quarterbacks, and the quarterback has taken the most sacks in the last 2 years in the NFL, I don't want to walk into that situation. And that's said with all due
This is pretty bold.
respect to Brian Daboll. I love him. I just don't. I don't want to be a quarterback that is a traditional pocket passing quarterback that needs to be on time and in rhythm and have to go experience in the NFL what I did the last 2 years. I've talked about Shedeur's tape is so difficult to evaluate because the offensive line protection is so bad for such extended periods of time. Why would I want my NFL life to be like my college life? If I'm Shedeur and I get the chance to sit there and go 3 or 9, I'm like, dear God, let me go 9 over 3.
So this is interesting, Tor, because you can have this conversation about guys that are established too, right? Like, would you take a little less money to be at a more established organization? I can't imagine a guy with the last name of Sanders looking at New York, looking at I'm the guy on Broadway. It's me, and Market 1, and I can be the one that turns around Big Blue, New York Football Giants, and I got Malik Neighbors sitting there waiting for me to throw the ball and saying there's no way I want to go there. I can't imagine that's something that's happening right now.
To answer the question of the segment, I'd say that is a bitch take, and Orlovsky's at least giving a unique take for air, which is that you don't hear a lot of people going on national shows saying you shouldn't be drafted as high as possible. You just don't get that. So I'm not going to just knock Orlovsky for being Orlovsky, but he fails to recognize that the top 10 teams or the top 9 are just about all equally as shit. The New York Giants are just as bad as the New Orleans Saints and vice versa. The Saints may even have less momentum. If we're talking 1-1 on offense, I'd take Malik Neighbors over Chris Olave to throw to. And I think both teams have put in as much into the offensive line and like first round draft picks over the last 4 years as each other. Has New York missed on one? Yeah, Evan Neal's not that great. Andrew Thomas is okay. There's not a big gap between 9 and 3. The Jaguars are awful. The Raiders are awful. So are the Jets, Panthers, Browns, Titans, and Patriots. But the Patriots have a quarterback here. Jacksonville kind of has a quarterback here. All these other teams are just as bad as each other. And I like coming on and saying it's the worst team I've ever seen. They all are. All top 9 are. So Orlovsky's energy is just it's good, but it's a bit misplaced. He should just say, Shedeur should hold out till pick 18. Shedeur should hold out till 24. That's what he wants to say. He won't say it because New Orleans is some trendy smokescreen option that has been making the rounds as of late because Derek Carr's shoulder injury. They weren't going to win with Derek Carr if he was fully healthy in 24 this year. It's a bad team with an old defense and a brand new coach. If you're trying to make the argument of we want brand new coach, brand new quarterback, so be it. But don't try to state that the Saints are such a much better destination than the New York Giants and not at least mention the differences of interdivision schedules. The NFC South is vastly easier than the NFC East. Like that is the point I would have him make if I was in his ear there.
I just think that I think if I was going to choose between the two, Tor, I would rather have the chance in New York than the chance in New Orleans has been garbage for a while. Like, they don't have an identity. They don't know if they're trying to compete. They don't know if they're reloading. No one knows who their coach is. Like, I mean, it's a bad fucking scene. Here's what I know. Brian Daboll is respected. People like him. People think that he's good enough that even though that team sucks, they shouldn't fire him.
He's still there.
Yes. And I've heard lots of people say that in the national media. I don't hear any of that out of New Orleans. New Orleans just has a lot of draft capital, and they got a badly timed injury. So if you wanted to make the argument, I've heard people that know quarterbacks say they want Shedeur Sanders to go someplace where he doesn't have to play immediately, where he can season. Because really all we know about him is he's tough as shit. I mean, the beating that he took over the past couple of years proved that. Like, I get that argument, but we're choosing between New Orleans and New York. What's the difference other than one is the number one media market? If you make it there, you could be an all-time legend, an all-time impactful player in this league.
Yeah, it's choosing between heart attack and stroke. And I think I just had a mini stroke trying to say heart attack. So it's no, I'm not. I'm full of chicken, and then not enough yet. I still got one patty remaining. It's eyeballing me.
One patty remaining is going to be the name of your autobiography for certain.
Oh, God.
I want to get back. I want to come back to this, but here's a question I have for you because you pay more attention to college football than I do. Are you buying into any of this Ashton Jeanty to Jacksonville at 5 overall hype train that basically it feels like to me it started 48 hours ago? Because last I checked, I think Jacksonville had the 31st defense in the league last year. Tragically fucking awful. And I know Mason Graham, like, that's chalky as all get out, but that seems like a no-brainer to me. The only thing that people keep saying is this weirdo coach, offensive-minded weirdo, bizarre person, like he might just want to bring in a nice weapon, flashy weapon for his offense that he's going to install. But that doesn't hold enough water for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors coming in with it. I've been enjoying monitoring Jacksonville burning their whole plans to the ground. At least their Twitter universe has been, because now that the draft week is upon us, you feel that it's real. It's like when you enter that, it's like the day before Christmas Eve, and you start seeing cars pull up into the driveway, like families here, like oh shit, it's gonna happen. It's happening. Now we are this Thursday. Your team is making a pick, and you were so happy to have this defensive tackle that's supposed to be the super sweet, silky, smaller leverage guy that's going to get 10 sacks, maybe a couple years. And then you start thinking about the Raiders getting Ashton Jeanty, or the Cowboys, or Ashton Jeanty falling to a actual appropriate placement for a running back in this draft. And you can't help yourself, because you found a diamond last year in Brian Thomas Jr. and you saw he was a stud. And you think you're going to strike it lucky again. The Jacksonville fans think they're going to see 7, 7, 7 in every draft at the offensive skill position. They're so far away from drafting a running back at 5 overall. They are so far away from that being a realistic add to their team. Adding Ashton Jeanty gets them 8 wins for 3 years. Year after, though, they will sit at 8 wins, 8 wins, 8 wins. He will go to a contender, win a Super Bowl. That's the projection for Ashton Jeanty if he goes to Jacksonville. And I think that the actual ownership or executives know that. They understand that one running back on this destitute team of filled with roster holes and filled with guys that didn't pan out, it's not going to get us to the promised land. It'll be nice. It'll be fun. We got a great running back, but this is not getting us to our end goal anytime faster than us actually drafting for depth, quality in the trenches. They should take a play out of Philly's book and just go all trenches.
I think so too, and I know that a defensive tackle is never going to move the needle, but interior pressure. How many times have we talked about this tour? It's become one of the most valuable commodities in all of the NFL, is getting that defensive line where you can provide pressure from the middle, blow up the pocket, make everything in that passing game that's so overutilized now more difficult. I love the pick. I don't know. The one part about it that you really can't account for is 2 things. One, the talent level in this draft as a whole is not as great as we've seen in years past. So if you get a guy like Jeanty, who is supposed to be talent-wise a top 10 guy despite whatever position he is, you got to consider him. Liam Cohen is bizarre. He is a fucking weirdo. And Tor, he was brought in to do 2 things: to resuscitate the quarterback and to move the ball like they did in Tampa. And if that's what his bread and butter is, then he's going to want weapons. He's going to want his offense to look as good as possible, regardless of what happens. So I can't predict what that crazy motherfucker is going to do.
You should have stayed in Tampa then. You went from Tampa to Jacksonville. And then honestly, thinking about that, would you rather live in Tampa or Jacksonville? Tampa looks pretty cool. Jacksonville is just a big city with a good grid.
There's more to do in Tampa.
Yeah. So you're choosing a different lifestyle here by taking a head coach position of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You are branded.
And weirdly taking it. We're going flip-flopping back and forth. Your wife's involved. And then they hire that fucking weird-looking dude to be the general manager with the crazy haircut. Looks like he's in an emo band. What are they doing down there?
That nothing good, nothing right. But he is branded as going to be another Jacksonville head coach where they keep on rotating in and out. You don't want to be on that list of, I was there for 2 years and I couldn't fix Trevor Lawrence because he doesn't really care about football. You don't want to be that guy. You want to be the guy that is going to come on and build a successful team that's going to protect the quarterback, that maybe is not going to reach for a running back in the draft and say, all running backs on this team are probably going to execute as well as the best running back in the league. Like Saquon Barkley went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Saquon Barkley isn't making them a playoff team. He is getting them 8 wins because that's what the dynamic range of wins for a great running back on any team should be. But they're not complete enough to think that that's going to solve their issue. Take a look at what Atlanta did. Drafted a generational running back who's been great, exciting, runs hard, catches the ball, comes up clutch. Haven't done one thing with him, and I love him, and he's I love Bijan Robinson. I am a fan of him. That's one thing that they did. They retained me with fandom, but for the team success, we're still sitting at 7-8 wins every year, and we drafted a generational guy.
Running backs to the pickled jalapeno. What you need to do is worry about the deviled egg under the pickled jalapeno, and you get to that perfect garnish. You make a difference. DC Sports Mark, $1.99. We do love, you know how we feel about super chats on this particular YouTube channel?
I'm butt-sized.
Butt-sized, $1.99. Thank you, buddy. Great show, guys. Left hand up. We like to use it like punctuation around here. Instead of a comma or a semicolon, parenthesis, you just throw that left hand up in there because it's not embarrassing in any way, shape, or form. Thank you, DC Sports Mark. Appreciate you being here. Hit the like button, you craven milksops. That's what we all say. Jake says, I really do feel bad for Travis Hunter going to the shit Browns. You shouldn't, because he's going to thrive wherever he goes. I think he's going to have a CeeDee Lamb type impact on whatever offense he's on, where that offense is going to run through him and he could carry it by himself. I've got some people are chirping about his size a little bit this week, Tor, because I think, well, I mean, I understand, like, we're all in love with the big body wide receiver, Dwayne Bowe looking motherfuckers, but like, I think if Joe Flacco's in there, if Flacco Berry's in there launching fucking, comets into the sky, he's going to come down with 6 out of 7 of them. So don't worry about him. I'd worry about anyone going to Cleveland except that dude.
Yeah. To answer, well, first to DC Sports Mark, stop making AI images of me, DC Sports Hack. And then Jake, Travis Hunter's going to do just fine. It's going to be, if it's him and Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku as the main receiving core.
Hey, man.
I'm not complaining, and I am putting in a high draft pick in fantasy for Travis Hunter because he's getting in the end zone this year. He's getting at least 5 touchdowns this year with probably limited offensive snaps. I will take that risk.
And Kenny Pickett, whoever the quarterback is, they're going to have a chance to be effective if they draft that guy. And then I don't know how many snaps he'll get on defense, but ain't nobody throwing at him either. So I love the pick. I love the pick. It just depends if they draft back into the bottom of this first, like we've all been talking about, to get a quarterback to develop it if that guy's going to play. Now, before we move on from Cleveland Tour, I talked about this on the Chad Duke show today. Did you see the emoji? Pardon me. Did you see the emoji that TJ Watt tweeted out, I guess, yesterday?
TJ Watt? No, I did not. I am not. My TJ Watt alarms didn't go off.
What is going on with you lately? I didn't even pull it because I was positive that you did. You know that they're in negotiations there, correct?
Yes.
All right, give me a second. I'll pull it up. So it's not going well. And the reports are he wants to be fucking traded like, like Myles Garrett. You don't blame him. He's one of the most fantastic. By the way, he's a goddamn a Peloton guy, and I crush his numbers. Let me tell you something. I see TJ Watt and JJ Watt in the room, and those two guys better. You come see me because I'm the one they're looking up to. Best believe. And you see this big fat body, you don't believe me.
I tell you what, you'll be the funniest in that room by many miles.
Well, TJ's not one
try,
right? Does he try to be funny?
No, and I love him for it. TJ Watt and Derek Watt just know their place in this world as alpha dogs in football.
All right. Let's see if I can find this. Oh, here it is. Okay. So TJ Watt is in the middle of contract negotiations. And by the way, people are talking about how he's going to now be available, that he could be available for trade. It was a clock emoji is what it was. There it is. Thank you. Clock emoji is what he tweeted out. And here was my point. You can argue which one of those guys is the best edge rusher in the business, him or Garrett. And you're right. I'm not basing anything my organization is doing on anything the Cleveland Browns have done. If they want to pay Myles Garrett, who came out and said, I don't want to be here, get me out of here, they want to pay him like a quarterback, that's their business. But if I'm walking into a negotiation with TJ Watt and his representation tour, but first thing that comes out of my mouth is, son, I don't give a fuck what the Browns are doing. You know how guys get taken off of draft boards? We're not dealing with this guy. He's got domestic violence. He's got DWIs. The Browns are not even they're off our draft board. We're going to beat them up 2 times a year. You're not going to earn $1 based on any decisions the Cleveland Browns make. So if you need that, we have nothing to talk about. That is the stance I would take moving forward about Deshaun Watson or Myles Garrett or any of the crazy, bizarre shit that organization does that makes no sense. And I think they should be implementing that if anybody tries to base anything they're negotiating on what the Browns have previously done.
Instead of keeping up with the Joneses, where it's, trying to do as well or appear as well or make the moves that people, more successful than you, more money than you are, they're doing keep up with the jesters, where they are doing everything wrong.
Sure.
There's nothing really cogent. It's a waste of money. It is not what you would think it is. Keep up with the Joneses. Stay away from the jesters. And the Browns are the jesters.
They certainly are. It's no more succinct way to put it. And I get it. The market is what the market is. I believe Mike Tomlin says the standard is the standard. But the Browns don't set the fucking standard.
No. They are sitting in the back of the class asleep, look at the standard lesson, trying to get the notes from the Chiefs and the Eagles and the other great teams that are up in front, taking the notes of the standard, setting the standard themselves. The Browns are not a team that you should be taking seriously in negotiations, their personal moves. They have not earned that type of respect in the NFL, especially seeing them fall, their immediate fall from grace after tasting one lick of success, not even a full bite of success, a lick of success, and they fall back down to earth to resume their rightful position among the dregs.
They don't want to play. They don't want to pay unless you're the Browns. You don't know 30-year-old edge rushers. They're reluctant to pay those this offseason in the AFC North. David Flaccoberry, $5. Thank you so much, bud. Good to see you. Will still be wacko for Flacco this year. Sounds better than moans because of Jones. Now, Donovan Peoples-Jones? Which Jones are we talking about?
I believe David Flaccoberry is referring to Daniel Jones of the
Daniel Jones. Okay, but Flacco. Okay, all right, but Flacco's with Cleveland now. He's no longer with the Indianapolis Colts. I think Daniel Jones is going to beat second-year player out. I don't think we have to worry about it. I think that's kind of in the back. But thank you, David Flaccoberry, for the $5 super chat. Much appreciate you. Jake says, Dukes, I've gained 15 pounds because I live next to a Publix and I'm living off Publix subs. Quick story. This has nothing to do with football. I was talking to someone yesterday. This is a true statement, that they put a barbecue place within walking distance in a strip mall next to his house.
Mm-hmm.
And pork belly is what their special was, and the dude was eating pork belly there at least once a day, if not twice, and he was drinking like guys tend to, and he gave himself pancreatitis in like 4 weeks. gave himself pancreatitis in like a record amount of time. To the extent where he had to be hospitalized and he's got to have like a fucking full recovery. He was eating so much pork belly and drinking so much beer. He destroyed himself in a record. I could see myself doing that, Tor.
It makes me so happy. It's exactly what I would do. If a barbecue spot opened up by me, they got some fried okra, they got some barbecue. I am not fit to live in society anymore. I am just not. I won't be. I can't handle it. Can't trust myself. It's too good. Barbecue has got too good. It used to be maybe you had one decent spot a county and one really good spot every 3 counties. Now everywhere's got to have the full tray with the all the regalia, everything that makes your mouth water and your dick hard. And I can't. You just can't resist. Well,
everything that makes your mouth water and your dick hard could encompass so many different things.
Everyone thinks of barbecue a little differently, I'd say. That's my approach.
That's kind of how I think of it. I like to think of it as something that is erotically motivating to me. All right. So on the thumbnail, if you guys saw it, there was an image of Puka Nacua dunking over Brock Purdy. And you're like, well, what the hell does that mean? And I think most people saw it a couple days ago. Puka Nacua did an interview on an athlete's podcast, and Games with Names is the name of the podcast. Who hosts that? Oh,
God. Julian Edelman. I hate that I know that. Jesus.
That's a terrible name for a podcast, by the way.
The problem is he actually has guests on that tell good stories. Great Patriots greats.
Well, that's what you should do. If you're going to be an athlete, is it should just be you telling football locker room stories.
And that's what they do. They're social clips. It's frustrating, but they're good. And I hate acknowledging that they are, but they are.
I don't know why that makes you so upset. But that's a retired athlete that's using his catalog to tell stories. It's not. I just don't like it when they try to be funny, because 9 times out of 10 they ain't, and it's painful. And the only people that are going to pretend like they are dick writers. So
Julian Edelman thinks he is hilarious, and I mean it's fine. He's not in the Hall of Fame. It's not going to bother me. He's a non-Hall of Famer hosting a podcast. You're well within your rights to be able to do so.
I think what happens is these guys get in with athletes, specifically ones that are still around their same age bracket, and view them as contemporaries. They get comfortable, and maybe they say shit they normally wouldn't. Seems like that what Puka did. This happened, of course, a couple days ago. Not breaking any news, but there's a new angle on it that I wanted to bring up here. He said basically if Brock Purdy is paid like a top guy, that will mean that the window for the San Francisco 49ers will close directly. Quote, I think Purdy seems like a smart guy. They have a chance to still be in their window. And I think if he goes for $50 million per year, the window closes, Nacua said. He also added that he thinks he'll make $45 million a year, that being Brock Purdy. Interesting to me, Tor, that he believes the window closes if he gets an additional $5 million a year. I think that'll be 11th. He'll be the 11th highest paid quarterback is what I read. If that took place, there's a couple of problems with this. One is if you look at his overall stats, 23-13, 4-2 in the postseason, 9,500 yards, 64 touchdowns, 27 picks in 3 seasons. It's pretty impressive, but he's trending down. We know what happened last year. We know what happened when the injuries set in. He was ranked 14th among the quarterbacks overall, and they finished 6-11. They missed the playoffs. So we know what happened when it was Brock Purdy's time to shine and elevate everybody around him. Here's my question, Tor. Does anybody in the league think that Brock Purdy deserves to get paid like a top 10 quarterback if he is anywhere else under the wing of Kyle Shanahan in that 49ers offense with Christian McCaffrey and I guess George Kittle, although he's in the last year, he's going to need a big pile of money. Debo's no longer part of it. They're open to trading Brandon Ayuk. I guess this is something I pulled. I don't know how you feel about Chris Sims. Sometimes he annoys the piss out of me. But this, again, for context in this. And then I want to ask if you are one of these people that believes he's worth this money.
Thing that I think you and I have been saying, we're going to continue to say, is that the league, nobody looks at Brock Purdy and thinks he's a top 10 quarterback in football. Nobody. Yeah. With Shanahan as his OC and the 49er All-Star team around the last few years, yeah, he can look pretty damn good. He can look top 10-ish. But we just saw last year when the 49er All-Star team fell apart and got injured, 6-11, and we're talking about we're going to pay over $50 million a year, and that's what it seems like. So that's just, I think, the 49ers are in a tough spot in their organization. They do have a quarterback. He is their franchise guy, but I don't think he's worth being paid one of the top 10 quarterbacks in football. But they got a guy, and they believe in him. So I don't know what to say, and I'm not mad at them for that either. But
okay, there it is. Top 10 quarterbacks in football getting paid. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, oh my God, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and then, of course, Dak Prescott, $60 million. Tor, I said this about AI. If I heard Tucker Carlson say, if we believe AI is here to destroy us, let's launch some ICBMs at all the servers and blow them up right now. Like, why are we fucking around? If everybody knows Brock Purdy's not worth it, then why is this even a conversation? Why are the 49ers torturing themselves unless they just believe in their little static warp bubble that they have created and he's the right quarterback for this little period in time?
I think the 49ers have been skating on thin ice for a while, and they're trying to validate a makeup pick because their original sell the farm, take a huge swing pick in Trey Lance didn't pan out. They ended up getting real lucky that that Brock Purdy was serviceable on a very, very good team. That 49ers team, the other 21 players on it on offense and defense were stellar. Pro bowlers all over the place, impact players all over the place. And all you needed was a game manager quarterback to come in and throw it to the open receiver, the wide open receiver, which they were having dialed up the last 2 years or the first 2 years of the Purdy regime. Now they're trying to make up for it because the receivers aren't that wide open anymore, and the running back isn't as fresh anymore, and the defense doesn't have all the studs anymore. So that big swing that you took 3 years ago that didn't pan out, but you got made up for, you're still in the same spot. You're still in that weird inflection point of, did we make a mistake or did we nail it? I like my job. I'm going to keep on trying to sell that we nailed it, even though we missed on the first round guy. Look how good we can draft in the 7th round, and we still found our quarterback where the means are justifying the ends. But in this situation, the ends are a closing window. Is a quarterback that is, with no question on my mind, outside of the top 10 and should not be receiving that $45 million paycheck, not a $55 million a year quarterback. I don't care how inflated the market gets. I don't care how much Dak Prescott got paid when he's missed 20 plus games due to injury. Dak Prescott, with the eyeball test alone compared to Brock Purdy, is a much better quarterback that I've seen in peak versus peak and even low versus low. Purdy, when he gets low, he can't dig himself out of it no matter what.
I'm going to give you a guy that I know you're not in love with, but I want to ask you to phrase it this way. Is Brock Purdy worth more money than Geno Smith?
Ooh. That's a nitty-gritty question,
right?
Schoode.
Like, if Brock Purdy was going to Las Vegas to do what Geno Smith is going there to do, provide stability, make them competitive immediately, get the ball to Brock Bowers, try to fucking have Pete Carroll's be his instrument on the field and be that bridge guy for whoever is going to inevitably come in. I don't think Brock Purdy can do that. And I think if Geno Smith went to San Francisco, as much as you're not hiding him, I think he's still in for 5,000 yards because he can go deep and he can go deep precisely. I don't know if we're sitting here, if you're comfortable saying that Geno's getting $75 million over 2 years, guaranteed money at $66.5 million with some escalators in there. That is what I would be comfortable giving Brock Purdy.
Geno Smith. Oh, that's a great question. Geno Smith could have done what Brock Purdy did in San Francisco. If their roles had completely flipped, Geno Smith in that Seattle resurrection could have done just as well, if not better, as Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Brock Purdy getting thrown on that Seattle Seahawks team, never hear from him again. Maybe a season and a half of Brock Purdy. He might not even ever get in Seattle. And then if he did, he doesn't have the arm or the game's knowledge, skill, and veteran experience that Geno Smith does. So if you don't have the arm, if you don't have the intrinsic buy-in that you need and belief system from just the general public eye test, and you don't have the experience, why are you getting paid so much? Why should we pay you? Where are the boxes that you're checking? You run a great offense on a great team with a very good coach in Kyle Shanahan. Great. Good. Stay there. Stay in that pocket. They're going to keep on working it open for you. You want to go to you couldn't go to Vegas and go with some dumb dick offensive coordinator that they have that's just new and isn't Kyle Shanahan. That couldn't happen. It just wouldn't. So I hope they not stick it to him, but don't capitulate to the market with him.
And keep in mind, Sam Darnold got his second chance because of what he did in San Francisco in one start, and then knowing that he worked the rub that you get from working with Shanahan and that coaching tree that goes here. I think Brock Purdy is a pretty good quarterback, and clearly with the right team, he can get to the Super Bowl. Whether or not the 49ers still can put together a team like that on the field, that remains to be seen. But Tor, I think a lot of the reason he's getting paid is Brian Hoyer, CJ Beathard, Blaine Gabbert, Nick Mullins, Trey Lance. They don't want to go back into that hodgepodge.
Can't do it.
Grist for the mill. And they're like, Jesus Christ, we've got somebody that we know that it can at least go out there and do what I want him to do. Let's pay him and be done with it.
I get that, but in my Bart of Barts here, I'm not saying that that Brock Purdy is going to throw Ricky Pearsall, last year's first round selection, and God love him, survived the gunshot and still played football that same season. Love him. But that's not going to be some dynamic NFL breaking connection where you can't stop him. Like, you're just not going to see that with Brock Purdy this year. It's probably going to be to his number one target there, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and then he's going to spread the love around the field. Ayuk might do okay, but I'm not seeing a bunch of guys I'm saying, oh, he's going for 1,010. He's going for 1,010. The running back's going to have 50 catches and 500 yards. I don't see that with this Brock Purdy team with an aged 49ers offense around him.
Another thing you got to take into account, Tor, is that Trey McBride and the Cardinals butt effed the 49ers with a $76 million contract extension this offseason. You're going to have, that's the starting point for Kittle, who's more tenured and, of course, has all of that connection with the team. And now they have less weapons. I think Pearsall's going to be great. I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver this year. But
we know McCaffrey's going to be down. McCaffrey's just not – he's not going to come back from those calf things. He just won't. It's too much specialist. They're done. He'll – it's not like he'll never play a snap again, but they traded
his backup. I mean, they traded his backup away.
That version of Christian McCaffrey is – Dunzo in my eyes. I just think that pro athletes, when you start going to those specialists, you're not going to get it all figured out. Now, the technology and medical industry is way too good. This isn't Bill Walton, who in the 70s, the medical experts didn't know what a stress fracture was in feet, and they couldn't diagnose him because he had gigantism and his feet couldn't keep up with it.
Well, he's going to be 29 coming up. I don't care how much he tapes his mouth shut. Generally, that tries to keep in that. By the way, what is the trend with those guys sleeping with their mouth taped shut? That is terrifying to me.
Yeah, I think it's to build testosterone and better sleep quality because I've naturally always slept with my mouth closed. Shockingly, I know I come off.
Yeah, I would not have predicted that.
Mouth breather 101 right here. If I'm hammered, I'll snore up a room like nobody else. But generally, just nice nasal in and out. But some of these dudes who have deviated septums or have had them their whole lives, or just breathe out of their mouths naturally when they sleep, it's just a less restful sleep. So they tape their mouths shut. It's all a grift. It's all.
What if you have apnea? Like, will it kill you? I mean, what? Because I'm just thinking, like, will that cure your sleep apnea?
Yeah.
If you
imagine one big fuck, and then you suck you suck it down your throat, and now you have
it's sticky on the
inside.
Have it,
you got tape in the middle of your throat. You're disoriented.
My God.
You're like, I already finished my water. I can't choke that down. So you're choking to the bathroom. That actually saved your life.
Off over your short hole there. That would be
never
terrible.
Ever once messing with any of that sleep aid stuff.
Whenever I see a dreamboat with a V in his pelvis that's doing that, I'm like, well, maybe that'll work for me, and I can continue to eat tippies.
That guy has not eaten a cheesesteak in 5 years, and that's why he's doing it.
Lifts weights for 7 hours a day, and then does mobility, and then it's just there's nothing about him is like me. Cool story, bros. $10 super chat. You know how I feel about that.
I'm butt sliced.
We accept super chats on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Schoode per chat for BTOS. Keep up the great content, folks. Thank you for chipping in. With that, I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much.
That was an interesting 2 hours from that show between Cumia and Norton.
Man, can you imagine? Like, if they're sitting there listening to those two guys, I don't know a lot of, what's the name? Saul Greenberg. I don't know a lot about the guy that does mornings that Cumia keeps going on. I know that he's kind of a legendary radio dude that I think got canceled for a little bit, but how do you not go and to Jim Norton and Anthony Cumia and say, we want you to do mornings every day, or we want you to do afternoon drive. And by the way, Jimmy, you can do all your podcasts, and Anthony, you can do all your political crap. After you heard that and you're already willing to take all the crap you get for employing that guy from all the cancel culture, just fucking offer it to him. Give him afternoon drive in New York City. Why wouldn't you do that?
It was shocking. I was shocked at how enjoyable of a listen that it was. And I probably shouldn't have been, because they're absolutely radio vets, but kind of a tempered Anthony with some radio kind of guidelines to keep him in the box, and Jim Norton being genuinely radio funny with one line. I'm like, wow, this is something I could listen to often.
Now, I'm guessing, do you have plans on Wednesday night?
Wednesday night, yeah, I do have plans this upcoming Wednesday night.
Well, that's a bummer, because I would love to have you on the very first episode of North American Fun, because I was going to wait for you, Tor, but I can't keep it in my pants how fucking triggered I am.
I'll move some stuff around for this.
Listen,
I will.
You should be here, because it's Cake Horn is a work, and I don't know what to do. Like, I haven't slept. I feel betrayed. Like, I have way too much emotion in this. And the only person on earth that I can think of that would be just as like a butterfly with the wing touch, just disgruntled and broken as I am about this, is you. So if you can be there on Wednesday night, I would love for you to be there. And if it's 8 o'clock, I'll move it. I was going to do it at 7, but I can have it a little bit later if you got to work or something.
I think we could do it at 8. I can move things around to talk Ron and Fez on this show, because this is momentous. And if it's momentous for just you and just me, so be it. I know it's not. This is important to know that this was previously, conceived. It broke me a little bit.
And look, I'm gonna do some editing. Like, I think we should try to explain to the normies. It's gonna be difficult, like why Cake Horn was so big. So pull a couple clips, we can go over it, and then we can react to the new clip from, again, April Fool's Day, because Ron wants to torture me. Ron's goal in life is to make me feel. So we'll go through all that. That is Wednesday night. And if you're sitting here listening about football and you have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, it's fine. Just keep it moving. But if anybody cares about old school talk radio and Ron and Fez, you're not going to miss this. Tori and I are going to bitch and moan, and then maybe moan and then bitch.
I tell you what, Schoode can name himself a podcast. I'll give him that. I mean,
you like that one?
Everyone, you just don't miss. It's impressive.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. North America. There's one I've missed on, the Chad Duke Show. I'll show you the number.
No.
All right, we got to go around Twitter here in a second, but Tor, I assume you've seen all these clips. Your boy McAfee, Paul Heyman went on after fucking WrestleMania.
See, CM Punk does as much good to my reputation as Shannon Sharp does to ESPN.
Oh no, jeez. Oh boy. All right, see, all right. We don't need that. A lot going on.
Don't ooh me. I'm not the one getting sued.
Whoa, okay, all right. Whoa.
God damn, does that guy give zero fucks?
Does he still have a fastball too? Holy hell.
I've interviewed him, man. It's so uncomfortable because he's in character, but then he's not in character. And before and after the interview, he is the nicest fucking guy you've ever met. But then he'll shiv you while you're interviewing him, and you're like, what are we doing here? Like, are we friends? Like, what happened?
Yeah, there was some scuttlebutt.
That Shannon Sharp shit is fresh. And then did you see when he retorted, where he released the text that she's setting over?
It's
they might both be garbage people, brother. I mean, that's just the way it looks like to me on the surface. Or Jesus Christ, let's jerk off a few times a week, shall we? If we can save our $100 million contract. And by the way, Tony Busby, is he attached to all of these? Is he like the leader in the clubhouse now? Like when Johnny Cochran got OJ off, does any woman now that wants to file a $50 million lawsuit against a guy that's on TV, I guess he's the guy that they go to at this point.
There's a absolutely phenomenal piece done about Shannon and Sterling Sharp and their very humble upbringings in a home with many kids, with like one door, and they were pissing outside in the South. And it was just like, to make it from there, to be Shannon Sharp, bench pressing 400 pounds at age 50. I don't care if you did anything after football. That means you're a winner. And to constantly be in the mix, you got to get out of the mix. It's like I'm watching Jim Jones, who is 50, made a bunch of money in rap, and is still going out in the streets, still doing stupid activities. You made it.
Yeah.
Move to the lake.
Maybe get married. I know it sounds lame as shit. Maybe get married to somebody that you have a connection with, that you can trust. I don't know.
Marry someone that can protect you from yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. You have achieved.
If he did nothing wrong and she making all this up, he still is putting himself in a situation reading those texts like, what are you fucking doing? And then if he did anything, it's like, what are you doing? What are you risking? Like, I know sticking your penis in something is nice. It's nice for all of us. We all enjoy it. But you're going to risk your fucking life. And then you risk your life when you're 18 and 19 and you're going out to clubs and doing dumb shit that can get you in trouble. You don't do it when you're in your 50s. And you've got everything in the world to lose.
I don't run into street signs anymore when I get drunk, because I'm 27 now. You find a 21-year-old gigantor at 1:15 in the morning, there's a 70% chance he's squaring up at a street sign and trying to knock it over, which I did many times successfully, happily. Maybe the best joys I've ever felt in my life was watching a nice "can't park here" sign get toppled over by my immense weight. But I don't do that anymore, because that's not what you do at 27. You can't do that. It's just awful optics. It's awful.
Yeah, it's just you gotta value what you've built more than that. David Flaccoberry with another super chat. Thank you, buddy. $5. Kind of funny with Sharp being all over YouTube with the Rose Spark dick pills commercials. Well, I'll say this: when the whole thing with the Instagram leak where there's audio of him banging some chick, he handled that very lightly. Now, people were still saying he was gay back then and that was staged to make people think I don't think anyone believes that now after this. I could be wrong, but it was an indicator that, hey, maybe we need to be a little bit more responsible when it comes to the intimacy part of our life, because most people are able to go through life without live streaming themselves having coitus in front of millions of people. Most people can accomplish that.
As someone, Shannon Sharp presents himself as a very respectable man. When I hear him speak and see what he does and how he lives his life, I say, man, that's pretty good. He seems to have a regimen. He's disciplined. He's got a good job. He seems that maybe he cares. He works hard. If I'm in the bedroom and I'm Shannon Sharp, we got no electronics in the bedroom. Nope. Because we are getting down. And I am at a level of fame, whether it be even it's for 30-year-old doughy white guys that just want to listen to sports, so be it. That is an audience. That is I'd say very dedicated audience to everything I do. And if I am as present and big on social media with a public image, what goes on behind closed doors is behind closed doors. Where I'm not giving an option to go on Instagram Live. What, you saw Conor McGregor getting topped off on a boat and you decided I got to get in that club? That's what you...
Dude, how hard are they trying to get those videos of that girl talking about the quarterback in Miami? Who was it? The Trump
Carson
chick or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, I don't care about this. But just assume if you have any notoriety, like if I was Shannon Sharpe, I would set off an EMP every time I was about to have sex. I would detonate an EMP inside my bedroom.
I would, if I'm Shannon Sharpe, I have the resources to get into a skiff, which is a government building where they cut off all cellular services so they can have legitimate closed door meetings. I'm banging in skiffs if I'm Shannon Sharpe.
We got to make better decisions. And Paul Heyman, if you're going to have Paul Heyman on your podcast and you're Pat McAfee and you're worried about rubbing ESPN the wrong way, you might want to think twice about that.
Work versus shoot of McAfee. I know he's in the wrestling space. I think he was a little shoot nervous.
It was great.
That's going off right there.
Good on Heyman. Fuck it. And then Heyman's Heyman's on the air telling a story about McAfee smoking weed behind the building and talking shit about Stephen A. Smith, who just signed that monster contract and was running for president. It's so fucking great. All right, Tor, thank you.
Stephen A. sucks. And it's puff puff pass, not puff puff. It's just great.
You chase the edible. You chase the edible down with some more puff puff, and then he's sitting on Michael Cole. I mean, there was so much to like about that.
ESPN, you're letting people say shit on the air now. You get ready for this. You opened up a whole wormhole. You want to be Barstool? Well, now you are. Welcome. This is a good indoctrination.
Gonna give you a little Heyman hustle. I think that exceeds even the Barstool. All right, let's do this before we have to wrap.
Now it's time for the NFL on X on both types of sports.
That's right. That's the high. When you send a super chat, that is the high dollar shit that you get. Of course, you sent this to me, Tor. I saw this. AJ Brown taking a personal grievance to X, talking about whoever stole his car last night. I'll make a deal with you. Bring back my car and I won't press charges. When I find you today, it's going to be what it's going to be. Take it or leave it, my guy. Tor, I understand the way he feels, and it must feel shitty. You feel personally victimized, you feel targeted, and who knows, maybe he was. He's a very famous rich man, very popular. But this is uber stupid because let's say he finds the guy and let's say he beats the shit out of him. Now there's intent. He's in Philadelphia. The courts are not going to be on his side. Yeah. I look, I understand the way he felt about this, but I think there's a better way to go about this and try to get the car back.
There's a lot here. Firstly, the car was found and the suspect has been, like in custody and it's fine. AJ Brown, though, there are ways to do this. This isn't the first time an athlete has said, hey, just give me my stuff back and it's no big deal. I have this platform, but you took a chain, it has my mom's picture in it and the pendant, or you took my bike. Can I please have my bike back? This is my bike. It's not someone else's bike. I'm not taking it. If I took a car and I knew that AJ Brown wanted it back from me, I'm putting the keys in the front seat and making it someone else's problem.
Yeah.
I want no smoke with AJ Brown. I don't think anybody does.
I think I'd make a call. Like, I think I'd call the cops and be like, it's like, remember when Jerry Seinfeld had the car that smelled and he just threw the keys into it? No, maybe that's the best way to go about it. What do you think of his bit of getting the signed jerseys and then dancing around with them on social media and live streaming all that shit?
It's
a weird bit.
I think AJ Brown is actually, I'll always like AJ Brown because in his draft process and when he talks to media, he comes off as a genuine fan of football and the players before him. And he does have football heroes and he has idols. And it's not just because it was Julio Jones and that he loved them and I love them. And I'm not trying to make that one-to-one connection. But when a player is a fan of the game of football, I think they're a better football player for it. And I think they connect better with the sport, the community, the fans. So if him getting the jersey signed, it makes him happy. That should make me happy. Is it a bit cringe, annoying? Maybe. But at the heart of it, I've got no issue with it because I think he's just deep down one of us, but he's gifted by God to be horse in human form.
Yeah,
and just be a phenomenal wide receiver. And I've never had
jacked.
AJ Brown in Philly. I've never been like not jacked. Very jacked.
Looks cool in his pads. Looks cool in his helmet. That's not underrated, man.
He looks like Batman. It's awesome. Yeah. He's great. And every time like there was weirdness going on with Philly, I'm like, I'm on AJ Brown's side on this. When am I ever on the diva wide receiver side? He doesn't come off like a diva to me. He comes off like, I'm effing AJ Brown. Give me the ball, Jalen Hurts. Stop messing around back there. I know you got the time. Throw it to me.
He loves Devontae Smith unless he's on your fantasy team.
That is goddamn it.
Yeah, that's
completely astute. Holy
shit.
I got
a couple more here, Tor. Chill out. You got a chicken patty to eat.
Now it's time for the NFL on X on both types of sports.
All right, I believe your Wolf Clay Travis tweeted this out. Nico to UCLA is official. He pulled off the negative trifecta. Less money, worse team, worse offensive coaching. Hard to make a worse decision in the NIL era. He should be a cautionary tale going forward for college athletes in the NIL era, unless, if you're an athlete with a different level of clout and maybe you can pull it off. It is interesting that he is the first one to try some of this shit holding out going before a playoff game. I mean, Cam Ward stopped playing at halftime of a bowl game and Sports Talk Radio was on fire for a fucking week. You don't hear a peep about that shit. Now he's about to go 1 overall. So I agree with this particular reaction to it. I know they have a new quarterback coming into Tennessee. But I wonder if this is going to be attempted more and more in the future until they get these laws ironed out.
It's going to be interesting to see how the family dynamics of negotiations are handled in the future, because this all came down to Nico's dad and the agent family friend and the backdoor calls while it was still in season. Oh, we don't know what tampering is. Well, that's because the NCAA folded and said, well, tampering isn't really a thing anymore. Everyone's tampering with everybody. So catch us if you can. Well, you got caught. And now you have the trifecta. But Nico's a West Coast guy. So him going back to the West Coast, I'm not ruling out future success. UCLA is a worse program. UCLA had a hideous offense last year, and their momentum is nowhere near Tennessee's, who was in the college football playoff last year. Tennessee did what Tennessee was supposed to do in an expanded 12-team field. They weren't going to make it when there were only 4 teams, but 12 teams, you go in and you make it. That should be good. You have a brand new scrapping chance to win a national championship. He's not going to go to the CFP with UCLA. He won't. It won't happen. That was his one bite at the apple, but he could still, if he sticks it out and doesn't keep on jumping around, he could develop as a quarterback with legitimate coaches at a legitimate program, no matter how bad their offense was last year. Like, I'm not ruling it out for the kid, because through all the reports, it didn't seem like it was all him that was messing it up for himself.
That's fine. But a big component of this too, and I brought this up when we talked about it last week when the story was breaking, is that if this is somehow about we need to make as much money as we can right now, whether it's a dire financial situation or they've got an indication that maybe the league is not going to be great for him, where are you going to pay more taxes? Where is your money going to go further? I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? Half your money's gone now. You're out in La La Land, Jack. What you think businesses are leaving Los Angeles and going to Tennessee because they don't want to pay less taxes? I mean, there's nothing political about that. You want your dollar to go further, and you made the worst possible decision he could have for that.
Carson Beck may be a big-eyed dummy who his ex-girlfriend doesn't like, but he's in Florida. He's in Florida, and he's getting paid a ton of money, and good for him. You know,
he gets to keep more of it.
Keeping more of it.
Yep.
He's not going to have a bunch of lucrative NFL contracts. He just won't. He'll have a couple, but they'll be low.
All right, one more.
Now it's time for the NFL on X on both types of sports.
So, PFF put up their power rankings. Let me get rid of that banner so we can read the whole thing. These are the pre-draft power rankings via Bradley Locker for the NFL. I'll go 10-1, unlike all the dopes I've worked with in the past on radio shows. Houston Texans at 10, Denver Broncos at 9, Minnesota Vikings at 8 with J.J. McCarthy, who we found out is going to be a full go in mini camps. The Los Angeles Rams at 7, the Washington Commanders at 6, and then the regular cast, you can argue about where they should be. Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, Eagles. 2 things jump out at me here, Tor. Lions should not be that high after losing all those coordinators. There's rumors about them trading one of their best wide receivers that are floating around as well. And the Commanders, God bless them, they were in the NFC Championship game. I don't know if I can have them above the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams did that a year early. They kept Matt Stafford. They brought in Devontae Adams. I might have the Rams, honestly, in the top 5 at this point. So those are the 2 things that jump off the page at me.
I'm flipping Rams and Washington immediately. Rams at 6, Washington at 7. I'm putting Kansas City at 2 behind Philly, Buffalo at 3 behind Kansas City. Then Baltimore can get the shove down to 5, and Detroit can sit at 4. Why are we? What the Ravens I so greatly respect what the Ravens do in the regular season. They play hard football. They play fast football. They play fun football. They've got a quarterback that everyone knows and everyone likes, but they don't do squat in the postseason. They are not going to Super Bowls and just losing. You know, they're not granted a top 3 team just because they have incredibly fun regular seasons, because the track record is you're getting booted in the divisional round. Yeah. Baltimore is not. They keep on being built for the playoffs, but they don't make any noise in the playoffs. So a 3 ranking right now is fine. They've got a very good roster, but until I actually see something from them that's tangible, that says, oh, you could beat the Bills in when it comes down to it, you could beat the Chiefs. I don't think they could. I think they would struggle with Denver this year in the postseason. There are teams that could give them real runs. The Chargers could give them.
What about Jim Harbaugh in year 2 with the Chargers? 100%.
They are not an immune team to a lesser opponent. Like Philly's immune, Kansas City's pretty immune, and Buffalo's pretty immune. Everyone else, you're on the chopping block. That's Detroit included, like we saw in the divisional round against Washington. So Baltimore at 3 is just weird glazing, and they get this every year. I get so frustrated. Everyone hyping the hell out of Baltimore. We can have an appropriate level of hype and say this team is always going to be competitive, and we're always going to enjoy watching their brand of football. That doesn't correlate to a top 3 team in the NFL. It just doesn't.
I'll tell you what doesn't correlate for me is the Texans being in anybody's top 10. You mentioned the Chargers. Yeah. I'd have them there. I would have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers above the Houston Texans. I mean, there's several teams I would have in a top 10. The Texans have the same problem to me in a lesser degree than the Ravens. You're going to have to show me in the postseason that you can go in and bang with some of these better teams, and they can't. And I like CJ Stroud a lot. You like CJ Stroud a lot, but if you're going to start, another thing that I'm looking at is Stroud and Daniels have got this whole league buffalo. They just think that there's going to be a rookie that comes in and not only plays at a good level for a rookie, but plays at an MVP caliber level. And it don't fucking happen. Just because it's happened the past 2 years in a row doesn't mean that it happens all the time. It never happens.
And Houston got that lottery ticket rookie quarterback. And you know what they did? They shipped his only good offensive lineman to the other rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Houston has no business in the top 10 right now pre-draft. After the draft, if you draft 7 big meaties and 2 of them immediately start for your team, maybe we can have a top 10 conversation. That team is not being built right at the moment. And I think Stroud had a problem with the management and they got him out for Stroud. This is it shouldn't be a ship with this many holes right now. It should be a ship that is bolstering the stern. It should be a ship that has big new sails to go faster. It's the fucking dinghy. I hate it. I hate what they're doing in Houston.
Speaking of dinghies. Oh, by the way, subscribe to Both Types of Sports on iTunes and Spotify for free. Leave a 5-star review. And if you'd like to watch us live, it's youtube.com/Chad Duke Show. Of course, thank you to our super chatters, Nathan Farley, DC Sports Mark, David Flaccoberry, and Cool Story Bros. Speaking of dinghies, we mentioned A.J. Brown's physicality earlier in this segment, Tor. If you got to look inside of them football pants of his, you think of what you saw in there, do you think it would be short or do you think it would be long?
It would be very long.
Hey, what do you got?
Both types of sports.
Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long. Nice toss.
Both types of sports.